Hello, students. Welcome to the lesson. Today we have a story, an interesting story about gardens, insects, and the environment. I hope you enjoy.
Let's just have a look at today's introduction for the story we're about to read. Do you wonder why bugs are good? A fun story that looks at good bugs and the way they help us. Okay, let's move to the next page. Here's the title page. Do you wonder why bugs are good? So let's think about the title of this story. It's about bugs and good. Maybe they're trying to tell us that some bugs are good. They're all not bad. Let's find out ourselves and let's keep reading. Let's read the first page. Little Betty was walking through their vegetable garden when all of a sudden she began to scream. Bugs! Ugly, creepy bugs! They're all over the place. Right, I think we can relate to Betty, can't we? When we go hiking or sometimes down the beach, we see bugs. Most people don't like bugs, do they? Let's keep reading and see what happens. Next page. What's all the fuss? Her grandfather inquired. Yuck! There are so many nasty critters all over our vegetables. I'm afraid to pick any for dinner tonight. Let's just start to squish them. Yikes! Bad bug, get off me. Right, so Betty doesn't like all the bugs. She's out at her grandfather's vegetable garden and she's seeing bugs everywhere. She's actually too afraid to pick the vegetables to eat. Let's see what happens. Let's turn to the next page. Betty, wait. Don't hurt him. That's a praying mantis, and he is a good bug, her grandfather said, as he gently brushed the praying mantis off her. Betty asked, What do you mean by good bug? Well, it looks like Betty has an insect on her hand and she's very worried. But her grandfather says this insect, called a praying mantis, is okay. It's a good bug. She doesn't know what he means. Let's keep reading. Next page. Just because it's a bug, or we don't understand it, or like the way it looks, doesn't make it bad, he said. There are bugs that eat or kill our vegetables. I think those are bad bugs. Then there are bugs that eat or chase away those bad bugs. I think they are good bugs. In fact, I put good bugs in my garden so I don't have to use chemicals to chase away the bad bugs. I have an idea. Let's go on a safari. It will help you understand. Okay, so grandfather is explaining to Betty that there are some good bugs and bad bugs. The good bugs eat or shoo away the bad bugs, and then the bad bugs disappear. And Grandpa doesn't have to use nasty chemicals in his garden because the good bugs frighten away the bad bugs. Let's keep reading. Let's go to the next page. A safari? She exclaimed. Let's go. Betty's grandfather then explained that she would have to use her imagination to make them very small, so that they could go on a safari into the world of the insects. In a flash, they were there. Betty was a little frightened, but she knew that it was all imaginary. So they're going on a safari. Normally when we go on a safari, we go to Africa or somewhere like this. But this time they're going on a safari through their garden to look at the bugs. But they have to pretend, Betty and grandfather, they have to pretend that they are really small. Let's keep reading. Next page. "What do we do now?" she whispered. "Just walk slowly and observe. I will explain about all of the good bugs I put in the garden," he replied. So they're on safari now, and Grandpa is going to show little Betty the good bugs that he put into his garden. Let's keep going and read the next page. "Over here is that praying mantis that landed on you. He eats flies and some bad beetles. And because he is big, he has big pincers and can give you quite a pinch." So let's look at the picture. We can see the praying mantis, an insect down the bottom, and he's eating nasty bad insects. He can pinch too, so you need to be careful, but he's a good bug. Let's turn to the next page. "Ladybugs and other similar beetles eat little tiny aphids, mites, and other soft-bodied bugs, and their eggs." Wow, I didn't know that. Ladybugs are good. They also eat bad bugs. Let's keep reading. "Spined soldier bugs, stink bugs, feed on all sorts of garden pests. But don't accidentally squish one of these. They really smell. Here's another bug, but if you squash this bug, it can smell, but it's a good bug." Let's keep reading. Next page. "There are many more, but it's getting late. We need to get back to picking vegetables for our dinner. We can go on safari to the world of the insects again tomorrow." Next page. "Grandpa, that was great!" Betty shrieked with joy. "I now understand what you mean by good bugs. And I realize that even though they are good, they can still bite or sting. So I'll be real careful." Next page. "Oh, I can't wait to go on a safari again." Okay, that's the end of the story. It was a great story where Betty learnt a lot about the garden and insects. There are some insects in the garden that are bad, that eat the vegetables, but then there are other insects that are good. They're good for the garden because they clear away and stop the bad bugs from coming. Let's look at the moral of the story. Next page. Okay, this is the end of the story. So the moral or the lesson we can learn from this story is develop an understanding that not all bugs are scary and bad. That's the end of the story. I hope you really enjoyed it.
I hope you enjoyed that story. I found it really interesting. I didn't realize that some bugs are actually good and they're not all bad. Well, that's it for today. Look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.